He's VB and he lives in Perth, making super videos for all his worth. His channel is great, he's a good mate with Beryl, a feral southern hag.
G'day beer lovers, yeah, Jeroen mate again here, VB Ed. G'day beer lovers. No one loves to be labelled a racist. We get offended by it. We're also super sensitive to those sort of words. Now, if I was going to pluck a figure out of my ass, okay, I would say 65% of Australians are racist. Some people out there proudly boast that they are racists. You know, they're not ashamed about it. But some racists will strongly deny being racist. You know, they're just too embarrassed to admit that they are racist. The word racist is a very overused word. You know, these days racism now includes hating other people's religious beliefs. You know, we need to come up with a new word. So if you don't like people's religious beliefs, what do you call those people? There is no word invented for those sort of people. So that's why they get called racists. Now, there is that percentage again, 65% of Australians who I consider are racist, okay? Those people also object to the world's refugees coming to Australia, coming here to live, because they don't want to share this country with others. So the people that are already here want this country for themselves. You know, somehow they think they have a legal right to it. Now, the real truth in all this is that the original owners of Australia, the Aboriginals, had a problem with illegal migrants for 200 years. They've always had boat people coming here. Now, what's happened in Australia is that the non-Aboriginals, which represent probably 95% of the population, they reject any notion that the Aboriginals have any claim over the place. Now that 65% again, that of the Australian population, I also believe do not really like Aboriginals. You know, that's the sad truth. There is this belief amongst non-Aboriginals that the Aboriginals hate us. You know, they hate every non-Aboriginal, and vice versa too, okay? So in Australia, it's like we have two separate nations here. You know, the Aboriginals even have their own flag, and they don't even recognise Australia Day. You know, that was the day that the first fleet arrived 200 years ago. They see that day as Invasion Day, and they don't even celebrate Australia Day at all. The thing is also, is that an Aboriginal is always referred to as an Aboriginal. They're never referred to as Australian. Now, the racist Australians that live here do not recognise Aboriginals as Australians. You know, up till the 1960s in Australia, the Aboriginals weren't even counted in the census to work out what was the population of Australia. That was seen as just the local wildlife. I've got to tell you a story. When I first started out on YouTube 4 or 5 years ago, I did a series of videos covering my trek to Central Australia, where I travelled along the Great Central Road through the Central Desert, and I went to Ayers Rock, or Uluru that the Aboriginals called it, and I climbed the rock and I planked on top of it, okay? Now, I got a lot of comments from Aboriginals who saw my video, and they claimed that I'd violated and offended their religion, and, you know, their spiritual beliefs. You know, the Aboriginals in Australia own Ayers Rock, and they don't like people climbing it. Now, a racist Australian is also a person who is scared and fearful of Islamic people. Most Australians feel uncomfortable with signs saying halal meat, and many Australians freak out when they're in the company of Muslims, you know, especially when they're dressed in their burqas and their Islamic clothing. However, this is the part of the video where I turn everything around. I don't believe that Australia is no worse than the rest of the world. You know, racism exists in every country. You know, the Japanese are fucking racists. They don't allow any refugees to come into their society because they want to keep their society pure. Okay? And in China, foreigners cannot buy land. You know, so the Chinese are fucking racists as well. Yeah. Look, it's a real pity that we hate people because we don't like the spacesuit that they're wearing. And that's what racism is. Hating people because we don't like the look of their body and the way they look. And this is sheer stupidity.